Good morning. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to you at 7:30. Welcome to Breakfast with Bridgett. I'm your host, Bridgett Ellison. So glad you can be with us today. We're excited because we have some special guests with us. We'll talk to the Red Cross about their urgent need for volunteers. They need local, state, federal disaster team action members. And so we'll talk to one of the lead coordinators about that effort and if it might be right for you. Of course, it'd be a great way to volunteer in the community. So we'll get more on that later. We also have Trooper Steve back in the house to tell us about a great project that he was able to take part in. We'll have more on that coming up. But first, the weather. Meteorologist Candace Campos is here. And, we're finishing up here of a pretty dry April, but not
hmm
without just a few more sprinkles in there, Candace.
I know. I'm actually just working up on a little fun facts that let's see, Orlando, Daytona, and Melbourne all right now seeing more than about an inch of rain in the red.
Oh,
So certainly need some rain, and we're actually getting at least some of it right now in parts of Brevard County, which happens to be the same area that we talked about yesterday being abnormally dry. So that's like the next caliber before we start getting more into the drought concerns. So certainly some rain in that area is certainly good news.
we're
We've had a couple
jealous.
brush fires there. Yeah, so let's talk about it, show you what's going on the map for your last day of April. We are dealing with some heavy downpours at times that are clipping the coastline right now. Areas like Rockledge, Port St. John, Merritt Island had a few of those isolated showers, but the bulk of the rain you can see it just offshore there near Sebastian off the coast there in Vieira in the Atlantic. Most of it still staying offshore. So right now we are looking primarily dry in Brevard, although we did see a little bit of rain earlier today. Temperatures out the door on this Tuesday. We're in the mid 60s, low 70s there in Brevard County, 65 in Apopka, Daytona Beach right now at 66. Now, kids are heading to school. They have after school activities, maybe some practices or games. We should be good through about dismissal time. Rain chances at only about a 20%. It will be warm though, so making sure that they have their water bottles handy. You also have your water bottle handy throughout the day. The breeze will also weaken. But let's show you what's happening later on this evening. We are talking about rain chances increasing up to about a 20 to 30%. We're going to have a little sneak peek of kind of a rainy season setup where we will have that east and west coast sea breeze come together. And when they do, we'll have that potential of producing some of those pockets of some heavy downpours. Can't rule out the chance of a thunderstorm, but it's going to be favoring our inland zones for today. So let's show you here clouds and rain forecast. There on the lunchtime hour, we'll have that. You see the breeze coming in from the Gulf, the breeze coming in from the Atlantic. As they collide, we'll develop some cloud cover, and then that little zipper, that seam that happens as that sea breeze collides. Basically, you have these two wind patterns that once they come together, they have no place to go except up. And that creates that lift. And if we have some moisture available, which we do today, it will produce some rain. So we are tracking about 7 o'clock this evening. So again, any activity you might have, outdoor activities you might have planned earlier in the day, you should be good. But the modeling is actually holding on to some of those scattered showers drifting towards the east over the I-4 corridor. So there will be a chance this morning of some coastal rain this morning, and then that threat favors more inland zones. It won't be a washout of a night. Just don't be surprised if you get caught under a shower or two late in the day around that dinner time hour. So as we get results here, your full 7-day forecast, we'll have that same setup for another day on Wednesday. Highs, though, will be back into the 90s by then. And then we'll dry out a little more come Thursday and Friday. But a little bit of added moisture will kind of help spark up some of those scattered showers, which we need a whole lot more of that. And as we officially start May tomorrow, we're going to really start gearing into that rainy season and really start getting those sea breezes back in working order for parts of Central Florida, because the watering your lawn every day or on the days you should be watering your lawn, it gets pricey. So if Mother Nature can kind of help, not only will the rain help with watering your lawn and your plants, but it also brings down those temperatures. So if we do get those temperatures back into those 90s, we need those sea breezes and that rain to cool us down, so we're not talking about temperatures in the triple digits next month.
All right. Sounds good. Good to see more rain chances working back
Yeah.
in.
Bring
As
it
we,
in.
yes, 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 yes. Well, thank you, Candace. We'll see you soon.
Sure. Bye.
Bye. Well, we want to get a check of traffic, but first we want to welcome back Trooper Steve. He's been off a couple days, and you were off from New Six, but you have a couple things cooking, and we want to hear more about it. Welcome back.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you. It's funny when people are like, "Oh, well, he was off." Well, I was still working for
No,
New
no
Six for
exotic
sure.
location this time,
No, no, I was what
but
what did we
special.
say? On assignment. On
Yeah.
assignment. Yeah. So this weekend, man, Bridget, I got to partake with what they call Honor Flight. It's a national
Hmm.
organization and they have so many hubs, 40 plus hubs throughout the country. One of those hubs, three of those hubs being here in the state of Florida, and myself and the guy to my right there is photojournalist Goose Goslin got
Oh.
to take a trip to Washington, D.C., taking over 50 veterans with us. And these
Mm.
are World War II, Vietnam, and Korean War veterans
Mm.
to see their monuments. And this is something that this organization offers every veteran on this. In this country, that if they have not partaken in this, they can register and go. And let me tell you, Bridget, this was
Hmm.
hands down, the best assignment work experience I have had since being here at News 6.
You
Nothing comes close to this.
you can
Nothing.
just see this was a feel. This was real feel good one here, and just like I have
It
goosebumps just
was
thinking about it.
it was obviously emotional. It was
Hmm.
heartwarming, warming. I've created brother type relationships with men and women 3 to 4 times my age. It was absolutely just the best experience. Not only just to be there with them, but to hear their stories, to see these monuments myself, to go to the World War II wall, to go to the Korean memorial, to be there with these men and women during the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. What an experience. So we left roughly about 4 o'clock in the morning, Bridget, from Sanford International, and we took off with an amazing team. We flew out on a chartered aircraft over to DC, and when we landed, it quickly realized we weren't alone. There were other hubs, Tallahassee and South Florida landed as well, and they were doing some similar to the same things we were doing. And when we arrived, these guys and men and women were welcomed with open arms. We had buses the entire time. It was busy day, don't get me wrong. And then when we got back about 10 o'clock at night, I had a kind of little insight what was about to happen. But when we got back, there were probably up to 200 to 300 volunteered people that showed up at Sanford International to welcome these men and women home, because anyone who's familiar with the conflicts early in our country,
Hmm.
these men and women did not receive the proper welcome home that
Yeah.
they deserved. So the it was loud, it was cheerful. They had marching bands there, law enforcement presence, community leaders, and then just men and women that were in Sanford that knew what was going on, to welcome them to come out
Hmm.
and just to greet the tears in their eyes and the
Hmm.
smiles on their face.
Hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. I cannot wait for this story to be put together.
And it's always beautiful when people get their flowers, especially like you said, when we think back on the history and the honors weren't always there and the respect wasn't always there for the sacrifice. And so they, they're still with us and we're able to honor them, but there are all those who have passed on. So it's bittersweet, but I'm so glad that this organization exists and that it gives everyone an opportunity to really, love on these veterans.
Yeah, and to be there with them knowing a little bit of what their mentality is and what it was like. I served in two different conflicts myself, but as cliche as it sounds, I and many of current modern day veterans stand on these men and women's shoulders. They are the reasons why we are the country we are and why we have the benefits we have. Their reputations allow us to kind of be safe because people understand, like, you do not mess with the United States military, and these are the men and women who represent. Look at the smiles on these guys' face. I get so excited. So
And it's
that's
a big
Brian on the
group.
left there. Yeah, there were 50 of them. That was Brian on the left and Jim on the right. And you want to talk about characters? They teamed up with the right two guys with News Six. We were their guardians the whole time,
That's awesome.
and just making sure that they had everything and anything they needed. And we got to experience it along the way. And I cannot wait for this story to be done. It's
Awesome.
probably going to be
I
a
know.
two-part story,
I
so
hope so.
it'll
Yeah.
be crazy.
Let's let it
Yeah.
breathe. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll let it breathe out a little bit. My EP Tara lets me get away with a little bit
Hmm.
more time than most. But this is a story that I think the best part is these veterans are in our community.
Hmm.
So that's the coolest part about it.
And you said
So
that whole group was
it'll be a
from
good time.
Florida, that whole group of 50, or was it
Nope, the entire group, all 50 of them, were from our Central Florida
from the
community.
Central
So
Florida?
about
Great.
yep, they cover about a 10 to 11 county area, and that was all from our people, our community. These are men and women who my guy lives in Geneva. Goose's guy lived down in Lakeland. So
That's
it's
awesome.
so cool knowing that it's not like we're just finding them. No, this is our people that we got to take up there. So it was so cool. So cool.
That's awesome. Well, I need to get a quick check of the traffic. I need to get over to the Red Cross to talk about their
Yeah, let's do
volunteer
that real
push. So
quick. Let's do that
let's
real
do
quick.
it.
All right, DOT cam showing I-4 is good, but I'm glad Bridget wanted to check on traffic because we have a major problem right now. So this is a fatal crash investigation taking place down in Osceola County. Very, very busy transfer area. What do I mean? A lot of people drive through this area. Southbound John Young Parkway at Osceola Parkway. This is right at the loop. Southbound lanes are completely shut down right now for a fatal crash just south of that area. All traffic being pushed to Osceola Parkway. The bittersweet lining of this, I'm glad it's southbound and not northbound this morning, but unfortunately someone has lost their life with this crash. Further south from there, Pleasant Hill, you guys are backed up. And then I have a crash here at State Road 419 at Winding Hollow over in Winter Springs. But Bridget, those are the only two crashes we have going on. I'll bail out just to give you some time so you could knock out those interviews,
All
and
right.
everyone else just drive safely. Join me at 8:30 at clickorlando.com for aggressive driving. Bye.
See ya. Thanks, Steve. All right, we want to get a quick check of some vandalism, unfortunately. And we're looking at this story out of the UCF area. Ezzy Castro has more about a business owner who is hoping that this vandalism is not related to anything like a hate crime.
Surveillance video shows what appears to be a man throwing chairs through windows at the Dough Show restaurant near UCF. Owner Ihab Mahmood said he got the call Friday morning after a delivery worker noticed something was wrong.
It was damaged. All the side was damaged. All the front door side was damaged. So it was, he damaged like 4 panels, 4 glasses.
The video shows the man on the property for almost 2 minutes, causing more than $10,000 worth of damage to the restaurant, which opened over a year ago. And despite recent college protests over the war in Gaza, Mahmoud is hoping this wasn't a hate crime.
Believe me, I can show you my post to my friends that I told them, I believe this guy is mentally sick. Something happened because he was out of control.
So we'll keep you updated on that investigation. Now we want to get over to our special guest this morning from the Red Cross. And this is an urgent push they have right now for more volunteers, more emergency response volunteers. We have the lead disaster action team coordinator, John Lazzetti, standing by this morning, who's been serving a long time with the Red Cross. Good morning, John.
Well, good morning.
We have to talk about this, this need that you're in. And you said that earlier when we talked a few minutes ago that this has been something that has been building, that you need more emergency disaster response volunteers. What do you think is contributing to, the decline?
I'm not really sure what's contributing to the decline. I don't think the word's out there personally on what the American Red Cross does on a day-to-day basis with the disaster action team. Excuse me. People do see the American Red Cross deploying across the country and doing all sorts of relief efforts that way, but they don't understand that we respond every single day to home fires, apartment fires, any kind of a natural event that occurs here in Central Florida, we have to cover three counties: Osceola, Orange, and Seminole County. We're covering about 10 calls a week out here. So if you do if you're looking at 24-hour shifts per day, we don't have enough people to cover that many fires or that much tragedy. So we really have a dire need to get some disaster action team responders onto the American Red Cross for our day-to-day operations, not necessarily our national operations.
And so, what kind of commitment are you looking for? Who is eligible to sign up to be a part of the disaster action response team?
Anybody that's over the age of 18, though we do have youth programs to get them into the queue. Anybody over the age of 18 is eligible to join the DAT team. We have about 6 online classes you have to take. Plus, you have to go on 3 responses and get a supervisory recommendation. It is probably the most difficult area of the Red Cross to get into as far as qualifications go, for the most qualifications to get out there on the road. So it requires a lot.
So, if you're volunteering, and you've completed the classes, like you said, you have to go through the online classes and then go out on a few, I guess, like you said, shadow calls where you're sort of seeing what it's like.
Correct.
What happens when you go full time, into it? Like, what's the hourly commitment or monthly commitment? And, what would that look like? You would get a phone call like, hey, there's a fire at this apartment
Right.
complex and this is the address, go there. Like, what would you have in your supply bag? What happens? What's that look like?
What we do is, an incident would occur, let's say in Orlando, let's say a single family house fire. Okay, the fire department at that time would talk to the homeowner or renter and see if they require Red Cross assistance. At that time, the fire department will notify national headquarters. National headquarters will then call down to the Central Florida region, and our duty officer will look at the schedule and see who's on shift, and will dispatch those responders to that fire call. They always go in pairs, so we never send somebody out by themselves. It requires 24 hours a month. We run 6-hour shifts, so it's pretty easy to do. It's not asking a lot. We have our disaster action team meeting once a month, which is where everybody gets together. We kind of sit around as a family and we talk about the experiences that we have, because you have to remember something. We're going there to help these people, and a lot of times when we get on scene, there might have been a fatality, such as there was a couple of weeks ago in Altamont Springs. So
Mm-hmm.
we're dealing with a very sensitive situation
Mm-hmm.
on many of these calls. We also
And
have our disaster spiritual care, our health services, and our mental health people on standby to continue helping these clients after the fire.
and so, how can you figure out if this is right for you or if you think this might be a good fit?
Well, the best thing to do actually is apply for the American Red Cross at any of your search engines. Type in American Red Cross, and I guarantee you somewhere in there is going to say you want to volunteer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you put your application in that way, and then you come in, and you can come in as an observer, is what they call it. But you have to be a member of the Red Cross to be an observer. So you can come in as an observer and go on a couple of calls and say, this is something I really want to do, or because the DAT team is the one that can really expose you to the rest of the Red Cross, you might say, hey, look, I want to go into sheltering, or maybe I should go over into the home fire campaign. So it's probably the best leaping board that we have in the Red Cross to get to other areas. So if you do want to get on a deployment team, you can actually get on a deployment team and travel to California atmospheric rivers, Oklahoma tornadoes. So,
Wow. So there's a wide variety there. It's wide open. And so,
oh yeah,
do you
it's not boring.
do you have a story about how you came into the Red Cross? And you've been there, and now you're the lead coordinator. So you've been there a while.
I'll give you a quick one, yeah, and it's pretty interesting. I'm retired military. Okay, great. Retired, got a job. Great. Retired. Great. What do? You can only golf so much, ride horses so much, ride motorcycles so much. But I do remember when I was traveling around the world in my other job that, hey, these guys in these Red Cross vests are going to these disasters. So I was sitting in my RV one day and I applied online, and I got accepted to the Red Cross, and I found out about this thing called the DAT, whatever a DAT was. To me, it was Greek. And no, it's something we respond every day to this, and this. So my mentor, I won't mention her name, Mentha Anton, God bless her. She pulled me under a ring, and she gave me that bag you were talking about earlier that we take with us. We bring comfort kits with us, which consists of toiletries to help the individual, get cleaned up after the fire. We bring toys for the kids. And so that's how I got involved. And I had no idea that team was here, but to be able to go out often and help people at the worst point of their time with a fire or something, I did not know that existed. And most people in Central Florida does not know that the DAT does exist. So we're here to help everybody in Central Florida through our responses. So that's how I got in.
Thank you for your service, and thank you for your continued service. I know that when we talk about these stories, these tragedies every day on the news, and many times we'll say the Red Cross is assisting the victims, the Red Cross is assisting the families. You guys are the ones we're talking about.
We are the guys you're talking about. When you see the Red Cross has been notified, the Red Cross is on scene. And you have to remember, we're not just talking about single family fires here. We're talking about large apartment fires and in today's society where apartments are very, very hard to get, it's a system where we have to find out how many people are impacted. And of course, our job is to provide, the comfort. So we have to think about opening a shelter maybe in that situation, providing food and comfort and necessities until the folks that were impacted can go ahead and recover.
And a lot of times, like you said, they'll ask those who've been impacted, do you need the Red Cross? And it sounds like if you don't know what you need or you don't have anything, it sounds like you need the Red Cross.
We would prefer that we get a call and determine that or not, because a lot of times a client that has been affected by a fire will not be in the proper mind to make decisions. They know they want to go to grandma's house. That's it, okay? All they know, they just lost everything. They want to go to grandma's house. They're going to stay at grandma with their friends. We will go ahead and start the assistance. We will talk to them later on and say, hey, can we help you guys out? So,
yeah, because at that point you just don't even know left from right. You don't know up from down. Everything is just upside down.
It's like I said, we're going in on a call that we have no idea. We might be called into a grease fire where it turns out that there's 8 apartments affected now because they had to shut out the power. So now, because of the housing situation in Florida, you can have 2 people in an apartment, and believe it or not, you can have up to 15 to 20 people in an apartment because of the situation that we're in.
And then all those units impacted because of
all
the
those
subsequent.
Units are impacted. You got it. So it's just a steamroller effect. So we have to pivot pretty quick. So like I said, we're the first ones there. So we have to make that decision. Where do we go from here? Do we provide individual assistance? Do we provide mass care assistance? So we have to make the determination. The on-call supervisor, the on-scene supervisor has to make that determination whether or not to escalate the case or not. Most of the time, we do not have to escalate the case. We have the capabilities to handle it here.
Well, it sounds like it is amazingly rewarding. And when I think about, like you said, 6-hour shifts, and that's, you said basically that's 4 shifts a month. Ideally.
4 shifts a month, yeah.
And
4 shifts a month, yeah.
That could, pretty much anyone could fit that in. But what if you say, like, I don't know if I could handle it. I don't know if I could handle the intensity of the emergency or the disaster. What do you say to that?
That does happen. That does happen, and I will usually talk to that person and understand what they're doing, and we will find another place in the Red Cross where we've had people join the team because they've lost a family member or a friend in a fire before, and then when they get on scene, they realize this is a little intense for me.
It's too heavy.
So we take them to the side, and we remove them, and we talk to them and try to get them involved someplace else in the Red Cross.
Right. Because there's so many ways to help. And so what if you don't have the hours right now to dedicate? What are ways that people can give, and how can they know it's going to where they want to support?
The biggest thing I can say right now is our home fire campaign. That's our smoke alarm installation that we do in conjunction with the local fire departments. We go out on usually it's on Saturdays. It's not my forte, mind you, but I kind of know what's going on over there. They go out every Saturday with the fire department, and they install smoke alarms into smoke detectors into people's homes. So that's a very good way to get started on it. Another thing is mass care sheltering is a very quick way to get in the Red Cross. Where if we have an event here, you would participate in opening up a shelter, putting in like 100 cots and getting it ready to receive clients, things like that.
So you can help out periodically.
Oh yeah, well, like myself, I am just not the disaster action team coordinator. I'm also the DA field supervisor for Central Florida during a major disaster. I helped run 18 counties on that one. And then I also drive the emergency response vehicle, the ERV, which is that big truck you see with the American Red Cross on it. So we all have that is the perfect jumping board to go
Yeah.
someplace else in the Red Cross. You'll see us talk when we have our dinners on our monthly meetings. We sit and we talk. We're a family. We've been through it. I mean, if you're a brand new person, you're hearing these stories, and you're going, "Whoa!" And then a month later, you're going, "Whoa!" You're telling your stories. So
Well, I think, we're running low on time, but I want to have you back on to talk about some more, and maybe we can invite some friends too. But of course, gifts are always tax deductible as well, and you can direct those to the Red
correct.
Cross and different branches of the Red Cross. John, thank you so much. We also have a QR code people can scan as well. We'll put that up, and we appreciate you. Thank you so much, and I hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you, Bridget. We'd love to. Okay, talk to you soon.
All right, take care. Be safe.
Bye bye.
Bye. So it's a great way to help out. So look into it. Try to figure out a way that maybe you can get involved and help support the Red Cross and that need for volunteers and help spread the word. We will be back at 7:30 tomorrow with more breakfast. Right now, weather-wise with Jonathan Kegas is up next. And I'll see you at noon on WKMG with more news and weather updates. Have a great morning.